Audiobook 7.8, The Book of Revelations. There are two ways how understanding arrives. The first is gradual, accumulated, built up slowly through study, experience, reflection, layer by layer, like sediment settling. This is the understanding of the long journey, patient, hard-won, deeply reliable. The second way is different. It arrives all at once, without warning, without the slow build-up. One moment you don't see it, the next moment you cannot imagine not seeing it. Something shifts in an instant, and the world is permanently different. That second kind of understanding is revelation. The Book of Revelations is about what happens when something becomes suddenly, irreversibly clear. Every tradition has a word for it. The Buddhist tradition speaks of satori, a sudden awakening, a flash of insight that cuts through the ordinary mind and reveals something that was always present but never seen. The Zen masters designed entire teaching systems around provoking it. The Christian mystical tradition speaks of illumination, moments of divine clarity in which the ordinary categories dissolve and something essential is directly perceived. Paul on the road to Damascus, Augustine in the garden, Teresa of Avila in prayer. In science it is called the Eureka moment. Newton and the apple, Archimedes in the bath. Kekulé dreaming of a snake eating its tail and waking to understand the structure of benzene. The insight arrives whole, unbidden, from somewhere that isn't quite conscious deliberation. The philosopher William James identified suddenness, passivity, transience, and noetic quality, the sense of having received genuine knowledge, as the hallmarks of mystical experience across cultures. What is striking is how consistent the reports are, across centuries, across traditions, across the divide between the scientific and the spiritual. Something in human consciousness is capable of this, of sudden knowing, of revelation. A revelation cannot be forced, but it can be invited. It tends to arrive in states of openness rather than striving. In the quiet after long effort, in the space between thoughts, in the moment when the mind stops pushing and simply receives. This is why contemplative practices, meditation, prayer, deep listening, time in nature, have been cultivated across every tradition, not as ends in themselves but as conditions, ways of creating the internal weather in which revelation becomes more likely. Preparation matters too. Newton said that if he had seen further than others, it was by standing on the shoulders of giants. The eureka moment comes to the prepared mind. The insight that arrives in an instant is almost always the fruit of years of patient attention. Revelation changes things, but it does not do all the work. The moment of clarity is the beginning, not the end. What matters is what you do with it, how you integrate it, how you let it reshape the way you live rather than simply the way you think. Many people have had profound insights that they then failed to embody. The revelation passed, the old patterns reasserted themselves, and the clarity that felt so total in the moment became a memory, vivid but somehow distant. The Book of Revelations asks not only how revelation arrives, but how it stays, how it becomes not a peak experience but a new baseline, how seeing clearly becomes, gradually, the ordinary condition rather than the extraordinary one. We close this audiobook with a track from the Pi 11 Pi album Immersive Museum Experience, an album composed for 11 rooms, 3 acts that take you on a path to infinity. From the cosmic perspective, through the human condition, to transcendence and acceptance. The path starts here, in the first room, the first scene. Let it create the internal space that revelation needs. Quiet, open, ready. Looking forward to meeting you in Audiobook 7.9, The Book of Doubt. Ready when you are.